Hello, my friends. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Welcome back to my channel and another STAMPtember limited edition exclusive. Today's collab is with Mama Elephant, and always one of my favorites. I love Mama Elephant products. I have quite a collection I've curated over the years. And yeah, just love it. I couldn't decide on which image to use. This is the Holiday Snow Globe set. And like all of the limited edition collabs, these are not restocked when they sell out. They are limited edition, one and done. However, Mama Elephant has a ton of fabulous products. And in years past, they usually release with their holiday products something, that can kind of combine with the limited edition collaboration set. You can kind of mix and match, or it's just a nice alternative if this one is no longer available. So, like always, I will have a link not only to all of the supplies I used, but I also link to the Mama Elephant brand, and you can check them out because they're super cute. So I took these little snow globes and I stamped them onto Neenah Classic Crest Solar White 110-pound cardstock with Simon's black ink. I couldn't pick one because look at them. Look how adorable they are. I couldn't pick one. So I stamped all four. And then I am using my Copic markers to color them in. Any alcohol marker would work. These honestly are super cute too. I was thinking you could heat emboss these. If you had heat resistant acetate, you could heat emboss these, like white heat emboss them, and then have like a dark background and create a shaker. Ideas. But I wanted to color. I've super sped up the coloring. I don't color this quickly. Honestly, all told, this took me about an hour to do all of these. I don't time myself when I color. I used to get asked a lot back in the day, like exactly how long it took. Honestly, I try not to get hung up on things like that. It's like, enjoy the process, do your thing. I only realized it 'cause when I was done like filming, I was like, oof, that was an hour went by. Didn't even realize it. I was having fun. So, as always, I've got the caps of the colors I used. I kept most of the coloring pretty simple, like not a whole lot of blends other than when I did like the critters themselves. And then everything else came together actually pretty quickly because I just used the exact same colors because similar images, like I used warm grays for these little mountains. I'm going to use the same greens for all the trees. I used the same reds for all the little red areas, things like that. So that also speeds it up a little bit. So I just kept working my way through, and as it all starts coming together, it just gets cuter. I love it. I really do love it. I can't. Mom Elephant will always just be one of my favorites. These little critters and just everything. Everything. Honestly, I could rave about Mama Elephant all day, every day. So kept working my way through and going back to some of the same combos too, just to fill in little areas. And then I did a sort of an aqua shades for the little skies in the back of these snow globes. So filled all those in. Oh, and I've talked about this a lot. I go darkest to lightest with alcohol markers, regardless of what brand I'm using. That is a sort of a habit that I've developed over the years. If you are newer to alcohol markers, I highly recommend going lightest to darkest. It gives you a lot more control, especially as you're learning to blend and figuring out what works for you. And it's easier to add darker, bits here and there with a darker shade, but it is very, very difficult to undo or lighten, And then once you get comfortable with coloring with alcohol markers, then you can, if you want to, you can start doing darkest to lightest. I just do it because it's faster. It's less blending. That's it. Full stop. And now it's just habit. So I used a lot of light shades for all the different white areas because we've got clouds and snow and little white areas on their outfits, things like that. So use different shades for that. And then I added a little bit of very light warm grays, gave a little bit of shading where all these little critters are standing. And then my final bit of coloring is to do the bases, which for me always, I don't know why, when I'm doing anything snow globe related, the base is always wood. That's just how my brain sees it. So it's like, this has to be brown. So colored those in. And then I took my white gel pen and added highlights. And I kept this all super sped up. Again, I didn't really do anything crazy other than like how I'm drawing like right over some of the image, just to give that sort of how a highlight would be if these were actual snow globes, you know, the reflection on the glass. So that one, and then everything else, it was just wherever my heart took me. I know that sounds silly, but sometimes it's kind of hard to explain what's going through my head when I'm adding little dots and highlights. It's like there's a spot, stick one there, add some there. That's basically what I do, honestly. So after I was done adding these, I had the coordinating dies, so I did die cut them, although fussy cutting those little snow globes would be very quick and easy because it's just a very simple line, not anything super finicky. And then my card bases are A2 size note cards, so 4¼ by 5½ inches. And I made them from some smoke gray cardstock. And I stamped the little Happy Holidays sentiment from the set on the insides of all my card bases. And then I took each of the snow globe images, lined those up, and I stamped those with Simon's EARL Positively Saturated ink, so just a gray ink. So still keeping the inside simple, but then each one will tie in to the image I'm going to put on the front. So stamped all the insides of my card bases. And then I had die cut some pattern paper. Another thing that I've always loved, been obsessed with, collect a lot of is Doodlebug. I love me some Doodlebug. So before I get to the paper, I had white heat embossed the little sentiment onto pieces of black cardstock. Die cut it, and I die cut some scraps and then glued them together just to give that a little bit of dimension. And then I used some Doodlebug pattern paper, and I die cut it with one of the Mama Elephant Flirty scalloped frames. So that cuts the frame and cuts out the interior. So I just cut 2 pieces of the red pattern paper with that, and then 2 pieces of white pattern paper, and then I'm just mixing and matching. And then the little tag was die cut from some brown cardstock using Mama Elephant's Fave tag set of dies. So I just picked one of the tags, die cut that cardstock, and then I pulled out from my stash. I don't have links for this, sorry. Some MISTI sheer polka dot ribbon. This is like back in the day, when we had massive stashes of ribbon, which most of it I did pass on. However, I kept my rolls of that sheer polka dot ribbon because it comes in handy every once in a while. So I'd added the ribbon to the tags, and then, like I said, I mixed and matched the pattern paper that I die cut with the Flirty scallop frame, and then adhered the pattern paper die cuts to the card front. And then the tag and the little snow globe image I am popping up with some Big Mama foam tape just to give it just a little bit of dimension, not a ton. And then once I've got all of that adhered, I'm leaving off the sentiments for a moment because I want to add splatter to these. You could leave it off, but I do love me some splatter. So I'm putting my cards into my splat box, and I am adding some white gouache to my palette first. So add the gouache, and then I'll add a bit of water to it to thin it down just a bit because it's too thick to splatter properly. I'm getting a lot of questions about splatter. I get it. The biggest question I've been getting multiple times recently is about how I'm getting like bigger splotches or bigger blobs. You just need more liquid. If there isn't enough on your brush, you're just going to get that really fine splatter. And I recommend practicing a bit if you're not comfortable, because it is one of those things. I was so intimidated by splatter, 100%. And the more I've done it, now you see, like, I'll add black splatter. I don't even mask things off, I just do it. So that's black gouache, and you just need to play with it a bit. But if you want more blobs and less like mist, just try adding more liquid to your brush. But I recommend like experimenting with that on just like scraps, and you'll start to get a feel for it and start realizing, you know, and it will also depend on the brush you're using, what it actually product you're using to splatter, you know. It's fun. It's fun. I love it. So I'd added the white splatter and the black splatter. I let it dry. Once the splatter was dry, then I added the sentiments and just glued them into place. And then as my final little bit of embellishment, I'm using some little clay hearts because I don't even bother putting these away. So I've got some white ones and some red ones and some little like, coffee bean shade, aka brown ones, which just work. It just works. So I figured out a little layout for them, and then I just picked them up with my embellishment wand and adhere them into place with little dabs of liquid glue. And then once those are adhered, these cards are complete and they're super cute. These images are adorable, and I really like this die set. I've had this Flirty scalloped frames for I don't even know how long. So I was glad to finally pull it out of my stash and actually die cut with it. It's super cute. It's super cute. So like I mentioned, I will have links to all of the things in the description box right below the video. You just have to expand it. Everything will be there. The link to the collabs, to all the other products I use, the Mama Elephant product line, whatever you want to check out. So thank you all so very much for hanging out with me, for thumbs upping and commenting. It helps a ton, and I very much appreciate it. And I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in joining my Patreon community and supporting me, the link to my Patreon is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't, I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye!